Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the new Hasbro Marvel Legends Man-Thing wave as we have a look today at Vampire Hunter Blade. For those who wanted to dig up the origins of Blade, you can go back to the Tomb of Dracula number 10 back in July 1973. Before we do anything else, we'll grab the tape measure, put it next to Blade to find out that Blade stands at about 6.5 inches tall. He comes with the leg and other leg, I might add, for Man-Thing. We'll reach off camera and grab what we've got so far. Attach it to the base here, or attach it to the plug, if you want to call it a plug. There we go. It's a little tighter because you've got a thicker peg to worry about. At least now, we can get ourselves a standing Man-Thing. And just shy, of course, of adding his head and his arms, you can kind of gauge how much taller he's going to be than the other Marvel Legends figures from this wave. Let's move him out of the way. Blade also comes with some of his own accessories, one of which being his trusty go-to blade, his sword, which has some really nice decorative coloring, sculpt and coloring, I might add. You can see the bands wrapped around the actual hilt portion of the sword, and that's been decked very nicely, decoed in gold and black. Looks quite nice. Very simplistic, not really too much to the sword itself. Of course, you can either have him holding it, which only adds to making this figure look even more BA, or what you can also do too is you can slide it to the back of his sheath and it'll stick out the back. Now it's a little of a snug fit, I've noticed from getting the blade in and out, but it does at least hold it quite well. This also is a great way to showcase some of the little stakes and stuff that he's also got on his holster, or on his I guess belt or strap across his shoulder. The other thing that he does come included with as well is an interchangeable head, which really isn't that much different from the head that he does come with default out of packaging, other than the fact that the hair is something a little bit more familiar to fans of the Blade movie, where Wesley Snipes, of course, has a much more of a kind of a brush cut, not a brush cut, but just like a regular haircut. Although this is a little bit more outrageous, but if you want your blade to at least look a little bit more like the movie, you can swap it out. It's not really the movie head sculpt, I just want to stress that, but at least if you want your blade to have a little bit more hair, other than that, it's pretty much the same head sculpt. I personally kind of dig this head sculpt myself a little bit more, but I dig the fact that they give you this head sculpt too. Now, speaking of head sculpt, again, this figure is pretty BA, and I'm going to refrain from using obscenities on this channel, of course, but I think the figure looks quite menacing, and just real BA. The head sculpt is done very nicely. I especially like the color of the red, which I feel doesn't nearly look as good on camera as it does in person. In person, it actually comes across a little bit more like an orangey red rather than a very stark, dark red. His outfit is very simplistic in the sense of it's pretty much like a Jeep. His outfit is purely utilitarian, or it's solely for the purpose of what it needs to do. So it's kept simplistic. It doesn't have a lot of extra colors to it, but it has everything it would need to have. So for example, it looks like he's got kind of like a bullet, like an armor vest of some sort. Of course, it still is helpful of battling vampires if you are protecting yourself as well in the process. I think that has some nice texturing there as well to kind of give it the read that it's more like an armor plating rather than just a regular fabric. The pants, fairly simplistic. He's got some knee pads. He's got a leg strap on the side that looks like it's holding possibly ammunition. I'm thinking some sort of like garlic or silver dart or silver bullet or something like that he would be making use of. I kind of wish that he had come with a firearm, like some sort of gun or something that he could have held as well, but they opted basically just to give him just the sword. Again, going back, we had a look at the stakes already. Let's go through and look at those again. Very simple on the details. There's not really much to be said for the stakes. You get the read that they are stakes, even though they don't really have a lot of extra coloring and stuff to it. You can also see that he has made use of some of them. A total of 4 he looks like he's taken off and used. Again, your sheath looks pretty good. I kind of wish that they had added some coloring to it, but based on the way that the character is a Blade, I can't imagine these to be colored. They're probably strapped black anyways, so it doesn't really bother me too much. It's a slight varying degree of color between his lower torso and his top torso. His torso at the top, or top half of the figure, very much a dark black. The lower leg almost seems like it's slightly a more gray or blue-based dark gray, which is a nice contrast to the black as opposed to just having a black outfit, black shirt on the top, and black pants. This gives you a nice little transitioning of color. Sculpting on the boots, quite nicely done as well. It's strange that they put like a little gap there, and I understand it has to be there for the legs to actually be able to move, or the feet to be able to rock back and forth. It is a little noticeable that you've got a big glaring gap there between the top part of the boot, and presuming to be this part should sit right on top of the foot, but unfortunately, again, because that gap has to be there for ankle articulation, it is a little noticeable that you see there's a big gap there. I suppose from a distance it doesn't bother you as much, but knowing that it's there, I do find it bothers me a little bit that that gap had to be there. Not really much you could have done to it, but there's the undersides of his feet, his soles. Done pretty good as well. Of course, you got your peg holes. This is such a small thing, but I'm glad that figures continue to have peg holes, especially Marvel Legends. Marvel Legends, you like to have a little bit more in dynamic poses. I feel so robbed if one day I pick up a figure, I flip it over, and he's got no peg holes. It seems no effort for the company to add peg holes on the undersides of their feet, and yet, strangely enough, there's so many figures out there, out in the world, that have no peg holes. It's a wrong that need to be right. At any rate, again, like really good overall sculpt. He delivers things very, very well. And I don't know if I would ever switch the head out. I do like the fact that, for me at least, this looks a little bit more like a Wesley Snipes blade, even though that's not really the intention, I'm sure, of the head sculpt. But I do like the fact that you could swap them out depending on which look you want to have for Blade. But either way, I mean, the figure looks so good with the head sculpts, no matter which one you want to use for the figure. Let's run through his posability. His head is on a universal joint, so it hinges up and down. I noticed, though, that moving the head up and down, it doesn't seem to really very fluently flow, where I can rotate the head, I can, of course, angle it, but I find like the hinge joint, it's on an angle of the neck where it doesn't seem like it wants to hinge up and down very, very well. Like when you bend it down, he's looking really down. I think that's the point I was trying to make. Again, you can move the head upward. I guess that's good if you want to have him kind of running towards you. That'd be kind of cool. You know, running out, and then he's got the blade extended outward. That'd be kind of cool. I think I might consider doing that. His torso is on an upper torso crunch, so you can hinge the joint back and forth, or at least the torso back and forth. He's got a nice clickety-click joint on the waist. You can rotate the waist back and forth. You got your universal joint on the arms, so they hinge out, full rotation. Try not to clip, of course, the handle of the sword. Rotation in the bicep. You got your double hinge on the elbow. Rotation and hinge on the individual hands. Then, of course, for your legs, forward, back, and out. A swivel on the top cut of the thigh. You got your double hinge on the knee. This is loose, I have noticed, but if you get it far enough up onto the thigh, it doesn't actually bother me all that much because it seems to want to stay there. It's not like the Cyclops that just fell all over the place. This stays pretty good in place, that I don't have any problems with it. You also got your swivel in the foot, and as we've already discussed, your boot hinges up and down, as well as you got an ankle pivot left and right. Once again, I gotta say we've got a great figure from the Man-Thing wave. Jessica Jones was good, Elektra was even better than that, and now we've got ourselves Blade. This could very well be a home run wave from the folks over at Hasbro. I think Blade turned out quite good. I wish he could have come with a couple more accessories as well. Maybe some firearms would have gone a long way. but at least he's got his tried and true go-to sword. So I do appreciate that. I like the interchangeable head that he uses, even though I think I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards this head sculpt myself. I do like the fact that there's always options available. The figure is quite BA, and I hope certainly through the course of this review you guys can see the same thing as I'm seeing, as Blade is really one fantastic looking figure. And again, I'm really looking forward to getting the rest of these figures opened up to kind of see, again, I'm thinking this is going to be a home run hit of a wave. If you guys are looking to add this wave to your collection as well, you can head over to the folks over at Big Bad Toy Store and get the Man-Thing wave right now from Marvel Legends. If you guys are also interested in subscribing to this channel and haven't done so already, make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below. You won't miss a beat when it comes to future videos. Thanks for watching as you always do, guys. I'll see you next time.